afternoon, one and all. I am Dr. Ashok, Faculty, Department of Environmental Science. Respected directors of various branches, Dean Faculty of Science, Head Departments, Deans of the faculties, faculty members, and non-teaching fraternity, research scholars, and students. I welcome you all to today's webinar on environmental impact assessment, concepts, methods, and application. On behalf of the Department of Environmental Science, it is my honor to invite our speaker, Dr. Rana Pratap Katakojwala, Senior Scientist, Green Apple, INC, Republic of Korea. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Okay,
Now
thank
I
you, sir.
welcome our Director Academic, Dean Faculty of Science, and Head Department of Environmental Science, Professor Pushpa Chakrapani, Madam. And also, I am thanking on behalf of the students of Environmental Science and faculty to conduct such a insightful lectures and webinars for the students of Environmental Science. Thank you, Madam, for this opportunity. Now I kindly request former Academic Director, Senior Professor, Professor S.V. Rajshekar Reddy, sir. Sir, please come on to the dais and occupy the chair. Welcome you, sir. Sir, now I invite Professor S.V. Rajshekar Reddy, sir, to address this webinar and give the introduction about the today's speaker.
It's an introduction. Join అయితే బాగుంటుంది కదా. Join అయిందా? My dear student, Dr. Rana Pratap, who is a senior scientist and chief scientific officer of Green Apple. Respected my colleague Dr. Ashok, Dr. Keshavlu, and my dear students. At the very outset, I thank you all the people, especially the students who are outgoing batch, second year MSc Environment students, for joining and for attending this webinar in full strength. I outrightly thank you all for joining this webinar. And also I'm privileged, very much privileged, and I'm proud to introduce my student, Dr. Rana Pratap, who has passed MSc Environment Science in 2016. Subsequently, after completion, he has joined for his PhD in CCMP, where he has completed his PhD, and he also got few awards like Young Scientist Award and Best PhD Award and patents also, with a short term of 9 to 10 years. After completing, he has joined his PhD under the guidance of Dr. Venkata Mohan from IICT. And he is also now is the regional director of Nagpur Center of IICT. And he has completed, and prior to this, he was also Master of Science, MSc Chemistry. And his title, a detail of PhD work, Resource Efficient Valorization of Agri-Waste with Biorefinery Design and Sustainable Analysis. Institution is Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research, University Chemical Technology, CSIR, IICT, under the supervisor, as I told you, Dr. S. Venkata Mohan, Chief Scientist. Later on, he has moved he has taken the almost lead in many of his works which he has done, and he has got, as I told you, different awards. And especially by introducing him to all people, I feel it's a privilege, not only privilege, you can also get motivated. See, from 2000, many of you people have a doubt about Open University. Yesterday also I was telling, but I could not tell you in detail. But definitely, no way inferior to any formal university, MSc from Open University. Many of my students, he is one of the students, has gone to the peaks. And not only that, many other students also have completed MSc Environmental Science from our institution, Ambedkar Open University, has rose to the very peak levels. And in this, I can tell you because they much about his research work, which I feel it's always standing in between you and him. I don't feel it's correct. Now I request Dr. Rana Pratap to and initiate his lecture. And I welcome you, Dr. Rana Pratap. Once again, join Dr. Ashok in welcoming you and all my students. So I request once again Dr. Rana Pratap to start his lecture.
Th- Thank you very much, sir. Am I audible to you all? Yeah.
Please settle down fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very much privileged and thankful today that I am being introduced by our Professor Rajshekar Reddy sir, and I am I'm privileged. I, I'm privileged to tell you that like I am also one of the students who are sitting and listening to this uh, presentation, and and so in like in Ambedkar Open University is like a turning point to my life actually. So I was working as assistant professor in engineering college, like CMR Engineering College, and then I so with the personal interest of environment science, I joined in Ambedkar Open University, uh, Ambedkar University, and then like so while I'm doing my MSc in MSc Environment Science in Ambedkar University, so I'm like very much interested with the like concepts of environment and how to apply my knowledge towards the environmental concerns. Like that I was um, deeply into the subject, and like I got the gold medal from my batch. That means like you people who are um, who are like who are really interested in the subject, and they may feel that is this university is the correct place for making our career like that. In my case, so I can proudly say joining in Dr. Ambedkar Open University has changed my life. So once I joined, and um, so I want to tell you one instance, like till May 2017. So till May 2017, my life was going in a different way as a lecturer, as a private lecturer. So in the month of May 2017 only, on the second May I got the gold medal. On the 17th May, the results of like UGC JRF came, and Like fortunately, I stood the first mark in the OBC category. So the the confidence and the deep thinking into the subject has like motivated by our professors and the counselors, and especially so in all my stages till now, our Rajshekar Reddy sir is always supporting me, and for different, so in my CV also I put sir as the reference. And when like as some people may think that, so as we are doing on par with the regular universities or not, like or this curriculum or this subject is meeting the standards of the regular university students. So when I'm doing my PhD, so all my colleagues are from state big universities like Usmania University, JNTU, and many of them were from NITs and IITs. So as a student from here, I have I had I give some competitiveness and to those students also. And when I got my best thesis award, so all my competitors are from NITs and IITs. So if you are confident and if you are giving your sincere effort, so the the the, the so the things will go in favor of you. So in within 6 years, like once I got gold medal, followed by uh, the JRF, and then I joined in PhD, and then I I moved to like so I presented my work at United Kingdom. And then so when I was in the third year of my PhD only, I got the opportunity in Korea. Then once coming Korea, so within 1 year, like I worked as postdoctoral researcher, then followed by senior scientist in a startup company. In the next year only, I am promoted as chief senior uh, ch- chief scientific officer. So uh, the people like who are listening, they're from different subjects and different backgrounds. Some people having maybe thinking these environmental studies as the career option. So this is the best career option, as well as the good platform for you explore and uh, achieve your goals. So with this introduction, like I want to get into the uh, today's topic. Can you see my presentation? Yeah. Uh, so today's topic is like environmental impact assessment. So I would like to tell you here that I was also worked as counselor for my sub juniors, where I have already teach this subject like every Sunday when I'm going there. So I can like remind those days when I was preparing for the class, maybe like 7 years back. So now also I'm little nervous and feel the same when I'm like giving this like invited lecture. So in and especially in front of my teacher, I'm giving lecture. So okay, the environmental impact assessment concepts, methods, and applications.
One minute. Dr. Rana Pratap,
Yes, sir.
please don't feel nervous. You can give freely because I know what you are, and don't
Yeah.
feel nervous. Be bold, be free, and talk as usual.
So if you are not there,
No, no, I'll
I
go out.
no problem. No, no problem, sir.
I'll,
Like
you start, I leave the hall.
no problem, sir.
No,
I'm
what?
confident.
No,
Uh,
my interest is it has to reach the batch, outgoing batch.
yes.
So that way, I know what you are. I need not assess now, but
Yeah.
please continue as lecture. By five
Yeah.
10 minutes, I will leave and I
No,
will
no,
be free.
no problem, sir.
Thank
Anyways,
you.
I can't see you. I can.
Oh,
Uh, yeah.
thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So the introduction to the impact assessment. So United Nations Environment Program defines the environment impact assessment as a tool to identify the environmental, social, economic impacts of a project prior to decision making. It aims to predict the environmental impact at the early stage of project planning design and find ways to reduce the adverse impact of the particular project. As we all know, the society and environment and economic uh, factors are the key pillars of sustainability. So, to evaluate the impacts of a particular project, EIA comes into picture and it will be utilized as a tool. So, we can say like in the definition and purpose of EIA, EIA is a predictive tool for the environmental planning, and it's a preventive to avoiding rather than reacting to the damage. So in a simple way we can say that EIA is like a soil testing before planting a tree, which ensures the foundation is safe or fertile for growth. So in the historical background, so this EIA concept is originated from National Environmental Protection Act, NEPA in US, and it was adopted by India under the Environmental Protection Act 1986. So why is EIA important? As we discussed, it ensures sustainable development, minimizes environmental damage, and it aids in regulatory compliance and promotes public participation. So, introduction to environmental impact assessment. The objectives of environmental impact assessment are to ensure the potential environmental problems are foreseen and addressed at the early stage of a project, to improve the project design by proposing less damaging alternatives or mitigation strategies. And the benefits of EIA includes the environmental, social, and economic factors, where it preserves the quality of environment and engages the stockholders and protects the communities and avoids future remediation costs and legal issues. So the general uh, types of like projects required for EIA, construction of dams, highways, and I have given some examples like in the major EIA examples from our two Telugu states are the current they are in progress, like such as uh, you can see Kaleshwaram lift irrigation scheme, Hyderabad Pharmacity project, Yadadri thermal power project. When we go to Andhra Pradesh, that is Polavaram irrigation project, bauxite mining in Vishakhapatnam agency area, Krishnapatnam ultra mega power project, Amaravati capital city project. So all these, I don't want to go into the details of these things. They are in the status of EIA. They are in different stages. So just I would like to emphasize on so which projects can be like have can have the environmental impact assessment. So I want to discuss more into the theory of the process of EIA stages of EIA and the methodologies of EIA. So the basic concepts and process of EIA, the core principles of EIA, as we discussed, it is a precautionary approach for the sustainable development, which involves the public participation and uh, gives a transparency and accountability report. So the process of EIA includes screening, scoping, collection of baseline data, impact prediction, mitigation measures and EIA report, public hearing, decision making, monitoring and implementation of environmental management plan, assessment of alternatives, delineation of mitigation measures and environmental impact assessment report, and followed by risk assessment. So when it comes to screening, so the project plan is screened for scale of investment, location, and type of development if the project needs a statutory clearance. Then the scoping, so the project potential impacts, zone of impacts, mitigation possibilities, and need for monitoring. Collection of baseline data includes what are the actual quality of environment at that place. So the data regarding that is considered to be baseline data. In impact prediction, so with the expertise of the environmental scientists, so we can predict the positive and negative and reversible, irreversible, temporary and permanent impacts with that project. In the mitigation measures, so as we envisage, as we predict the impact, based on that, we can suggest the mitigation strategies. So the each stage of this EIA is like having a time boundary of like screening is 1 to 3 weeks, scoping 2 to 4 weeks, collection of baseline data 1 to 6 months based on the size of the project. If the size of the project is big, it will take more time. So in the impact prediction will takes 1 to 2 months, and mitigation measures and EIA report takes 1 2 to 4 weeks, and public hearing takes 1 to 2 months. So in the decision making, where the appraisal committee will take the decision on the clearance of the particular project or not. So which will take 2 to 4 months. Monitoring and implementation of environment management plan, it will takes 1 to 2 months. And I will discuss these things in detail in the next slides. So, so when we see the flow chart of EIA process, so first one should apply for the, suppose I want to build a dam or a highway project. Like, so the one who want to apply for EIA have to, so so the application is to be like go for first screening by the uh, town or country planning department for the review. So in the first screening only, there are like four options. Like if the project is not feasible, or EIA required category A, EIA limited, that is a comprehensive EIA is required, is category A. If limited EIA is required, it is category B. If no EIA is required for a small and simple projects where no need of performing environmental impact assessment, like that, there are four options. Like if project is not feasible, then at the stage of screening only it will be rejected. If the project don't need any EIA, because as it is very simple and necessary, then there is no EIA is required, it is directly approved. Then if the process needs EIA, based on the severity and based on the size of the project, it may goes to category A or category B, where the scoping and terms of references and public notice, public meeting approval, followed by impact analysis, then mitigation, impact management, followed by EIA report. What we have discussed, like as a stage wise, screening, scoping, impact analysis, mitigation measurement, and EIA report. So in the after public meeting, it may go for finalization of EIA and decision making. So in the decision making, it may go for like two options. If it is yes, it will go for approval. If it is not yes, then it will not approved and go for redesign and resubmission. So once it is approved, the the approved with the conditions, certificate of environmental clearance, and submission of design plans, then approved plans, then the final stage is implemented. So as we discussed the time frame for each step, the duration for the EIA for a simple project will takes like 6 to 9 months. Complex process like industrial plants and highways. So where the baseline data, public participation, public hearing, all these things will takes place. Then it will take 9 to 18 months. Some like Polavaram project where which is like with season and multi-phase data is collection is needed, which requires like more time for the complete EIA. So the participants or the stakeholders of EIA are the project proponent, where like the private company or the government organization, whoever proposed the project development, and environment concern. So here is our role, like as an environmental science scientist or an environmental science expert. As many of you people can choose this as a career option. Like I was once I am completing my MSc, I thought of going as an environmental consultant. So the agency or a company responsible for conducting EIA. So next, the public and citizens and media, who are the stakeholders, like special interest groups like NGOs, environmental agencies, labor unions from participation group, who have role in identifying specific environmental concerns. Next is the reviewer. So the agency responsible for reviewing the environmental impact summary report, such as impact assessment agency. So other agencies of government, national and state government agencies that will directly or indirectly have interest or responsibility in the EIA process. Expert advisors, there may be a government or private expert with special knowledge of either project activity or EIA. And the final stakeholder is the decision maker. So as the decision maker, maybe like Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change, or State Environmental Impact Assessment Authority. So based on the uh, recommendation from the expert appraisal committees, so like the larger scale projects are comes under MOEFCC, and state and small scale projects comes under SEIAA. Then the importance of EIA. So EIA links the environment with the development for environmentally safe and sustainable development. EIA provides a cost-effective method to eliminate or minimize the adverse impact from the developmental project. EIA enables the decision makers to analyze the actual impacts and the scale of the impacts of the process. EIA encourages the adoption of mitigation strategies in the development plan, and EIA makes the developmental plan environmentally sound and ensures the sustainability. So the EIA methodology step by step. Once a project is given to a agency or applied for EIA, so what are the step-by-step methodology that are considered? First one is the project description. So the actual project definition of the project, purpose, scope, and location of the components, outline construction operation. Suppose if it is based on a uh, dam or a dam construction or a highway construction, so the project description is the first step, followed by baseline environmental study. As we discussed that after screening and scoping, the baseline environment study. So assess the current environmental conditions, the quality of air, water, soil, and the biodiversity of that place. All the existing data will be considered as the baseline environmental data. So use field surveys, secondary data, GIS, and remote sensing. The third step is impact identification. So based on the baseline data, we can list the potential environmental and social impacts of each project activity. So to quantify these, we can use some different tools, like different methods. I will discuss in the next slides. So the impact prediction and evaluation. So prediction of impact type, magnitude of the impact, and the extent of impact, and the duration of impact. So and then followed by application of different models, and the mitigation measure. The next step is the mitigation measures. So if such kind of impacts are like predicted or envisaged, then what would be the counter mitigation strategies to be taken? So next, and in the mitigation strategies, we would have different alternatives, like like plan A, B, C. So in this, the analysis of alternatives, so we have to evaluate and compare different scenarios. See, and we have to compare it with the no project scenario. So compare based on the environmental and economic performance. Then comes in the environmental management plan that defines how mitigation measures will be implemented. Like it will be like having different milestones. It should be like time based. And the environmental management includes roles, responsibilities, costs, timelines, and the contingency plans. So if a project is going on, so we have to rehabilitate some of the people over there. So then, so who will be taking care of that rehabilitation, and how many days the public have to be stay away from their sites? Like in the environment management plan, all the details would be given, and the public consultation and disclosure includes engaging stakeholders and the affecting communities, document feedback, and incorporate into the decision making. The feedback from the public um, should be included in the EIA report. So EIA report preparation. So all compile all the findings from the previous steps into a comprehensive EIS document. Environmental impact statement includes executive summary, baseline data, impact assessment, EMP, and the public input. So then it will go for review and decision making. So as we discussed, the expert appraisal committee will check all these things, and it will sub they will submit the EIS for regulatory review. Authorities decide whether to approve or reject or request some changes. So post-approval monitoring and audit. So monitor compliances with the EMP and the environmental conditions, and conduct audits to verify the predictions and effectiveness of the mitigation. So next one, the EIA methodologies. How the impacts were evaluated, how they are like quantified. So there are different methodologies are there. So the purpose of these methodologies is to systematically identify, predict, and evaluate the potential environmental impacts of a project. They will provide the consistency and structure to EIA. So different methods include ad hoc method, checklist method, matrix method, network method, simulation models. So the first one is ad hoc method. Ad hoc method is a conventional method where the approach includes very informal and it is based on the expert opinion and professional judgment. So, if we want to go for testing with this ad hoc method, so we have to consult an expert who is having like a vast experience in the environmental sector. So, based on the particular uh, the expert's experience, the EIA report will be generated. So the input requirements is minimal baseline data and documentation, and the speed is very fast, and you use it for preliminary analysis and scoping of small scale and low risk projects. So the main advantages with because all the projects cannot be seen in the same way. So as the process is little complex and time taking, suppose for a small projects like foot over bridge or small check dam construction may not require many many uh, stages and rigorous environmental impact assessment. Such kind of small and simple projects can be performed with this kind of ad hoc method, where the advantages are quick and inexpensive, require minimal data, and useful in the screening stage of EIA. And the limitations are it is highly subjective and non-reproducible. It may miss indirect and cumulative impacts. No quantitative assessment ranking is not there. It is merely based on the judgment is only based on the professional expertise. So the examples where we can no suitable for detailed and high stake project, and the examples for these things as we discussed: small footbridge, check dam, small rural infrastructure, like early stage project scoping and feasibility analysis. Next one is checklist method. So where the checklist method is like so we are checking each and every aspect of environment. So there is a list of environmental factors or parameters to be considered and can range from simple tick boxes to detailed evaluative formats, where the checklists are of different types: simple checklist, descriptive checklist, and scaling or weighing checklist. So for simple checklist example is, will the project affect the air quality or not? Like yes or no, simple checklist. And the descriptive checklist is, if air emissions are there, what are different kinds of air emissions? It will be more detailed. In scaling and weight checklist, the intensity and the it assigns to the scores of severity based on scale, like 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, like duration, reversibility. It is used for more detailed comparison with the alternatives. So what are the checklist useful? This checklist method is useful in early stages of EIA, like screening and scoping. When time and resource are limited, we can go for checklist method. In projects with low environmental complexity, we can opt a checklist method. The main advantages are quick and systematic overview, encourages comprehensive coverage of environmental factors, easy to compare multiple project options side by side. The limitations are, so as they miss the interaction between impacts, such as air pollution leading to vegetation loss. So it will only focuses on single parameters. So subjective Different accessors may score same impact differently, not suitable for complex and large scale projects alone. So when we are coming for matrices, it is little complex than the checklist. As everyone knows, the matrix is contain. It is a two-dimensional table listing the project activities on one axis and the environmental parameters on the other axis. The cells represents the interaction between, suppose if we see, the columns are the uh, environmental parameters and the rows are the activities like land clearing, excavation, construction. So a basic example for this matrix EIA methodology is Leopold matrix. So where it contains 100 project actions and 88 environmental items, total of 8,800 possible interactions. So each cell is rated on magnitude 1 to 10 and importance 1 to 10. Here you can see 8 by 9. The magnitude is 8 and the importance is 9. Like that. So we can monitor like 9 into 2, like 18 parameters here. And weight and scaled matrix, some matrices assign weights to reflect the relative importance of each impact, allows for quantitative comparisons among the project alternatives. So the main benefit with using matrices are help to uncover the unexpected and indirect impacts, visual and easy to communicate with the stakeholders, useful in scoping and detailed assessment stages. And the limitations are, so it can be too complicated when we go for a large project. So if a large project is containing 50 different actions followed by 50 different environmental parameters, so the matrix will become more complex and it will be very much complex for understanding. So assessing the weights and scores can be subjective, does not capture temporal variations well, like seasonal impacts. When to use? It is suitable for medium and large infrastructure projects such as dams and highways, especially when multiple impacts need to prioritization for mitigation. Next one is the network, and which is like more like advanced when compared to the earlier examples. Like the network diagram maps the interlinked impacts, especially useful on one impact triggers multiple downstreams. Suppose so like how it works, it begins with the project activity and it connects to the primary impact and it extends to secondary and tertiary impacts. When if you see a construction activity, a network is shown here. So construction activity will lead to land clearing, land clearing lead to soil erosion lead to water sedimentation, which will leads to aquatic habitat degradation, and the same activity leads to noise generation and wild and followed by wildlife disturbance. And the same construction activity affects like influences on the vehicular emissions, which leads to air pollution, then followed by human health. Like that, this is the center point which is having like many, this only one impact triggers multiple downstream effects. So such kind of impacts can be predicted with the help of network analysis. In the benefits of the network analysis, it helps to uncover indirect and cumulative effects, useful in ecosystems where changes are interconnected, engages stakeholders by illustrating real-world consequences. When to use for the complex infrastructure projects involving multiple environmental media such as air, water, and soil. So one activity influences noise pollution, like soil pollution as well as air pollution. And suppose for an example, road construction, land clearing, habitat loss, followed by increased runoff, then followed by water quality decline, and then it will affect the mortality of fish. So such kind of complex and long-term impacts can be uh, predicted with networks method. So in the limitations, so it can become more complicated and difficult to interpret if too many elements are included. It requires careful system thinking and validation with expert input. Next, in EIA methodologies, and the last method is the simulation method. Simulation, what are the simulation models in EIA? So tools that use mathematical equations to stimulate real world environment systems enable quantitative prediction of the impacts based on the project parameters and assumptions. Why are they important? Predict how air, water, and land resources might respond to project before it's built. Helps to evaluate alternative project scenarios. The common simulation models for air pollution, so it is air mode and CalPUF. They can predict dispersion of pollutants from stacks and traffic, water qualities, SWAT analysis, Heck-Ross analysis. They stimulates the flow of erosion, pollutant loading in rivers and catchments. Noise prediction software models for traffic and industrial noise assessment. GSI based models like spatial models integrate land use, elevation, and environmental layers. All these GIS models you might have already studied in the first year of your uh, course. The advantages of using simulation models is objective and data driven. So can simulate what if the scenarios, what if rainfall increases like that. So it can simulate the real time influences, uh, and limitations requires, it requires more technical expertise and good quality of data. Model outputs depend on assumptions and boundary conditions, often treated as black boxes by non-expert, so transparency is important. So only the expert can understand, and experts can only perform this kind of simulation modeling. When to use projects with significant air, water, and land impacts, when the baseline data is available and quantitative precision is needed. So these are the abbreviations for air mode, CalPOF, SWAT, and HEC-RAS. American Meteorological Society, Environmental Protection Agency, Regulatory Model, California PUF Model, Soil and Water Assessment Tool, Hydrologic Engineering Center, River Analysis Systems. So these are similar to different softwares where we can input our data, and then we can get the results, and based on our expertise we can um, predict the environmental impacts. So by this we know the basic principles of EIA, stages of EIA, and flow chart of EIA, then how we can measure the impacts, and how we can measure different impacts of the environment. So then I'm moving to different sector-wise examples, like as EIA of soil and groundwater. So each sector example will goes with the structure of EIA, like description of the problem, then baseline data, then impact assessment or the predicted impacts, then mitigation strategies. So why soil and groundwater matters? It is the foundation for agriculture ecosystems and often irreversibly damaged once it is contaminated. The common soil impacts of the projects: soil erosion, compaction of soil, contamination of soil. In the ground, coming to groundwater, uh, subsurface leaching of pollutants, risk of landfills, fuel stations, mining and chemical industries, over extraction leading to groundwater table decline. So, what are the impact assessment tools? For soil testing, pH of the soil is important, organic content and heavy metals present, and the cationic exchange capacity of the uh, soil. Hydrogeological surveys includes groundwater depth, flow direction, recharge rate. Leachate modeling predict the movement of contaminants. Example, mode flow help model. So modular three-dimensional finite difference groundwater flow model, hydrologic evaluation of landfill performance model. So these are the impact assessment tools. So once we can evaluate the impact with any of the uh, methodology, then the mitigation strategies include soil like mulching, vegetation cover, contour contour plowing, erosion control structures, and the groundwater mitigation strategies include impermeable liners, leak detection systems, site-specific monitoring wells, and the monitoring plans includes regular sampling and comparison with the permissible standards, mapping the potential pollution plumes and establishing early warning systems. Then I have taken like a model case study. These may not be the exact case studies, just I'm taking one example. Like if a chemical manufacturing plant is established in the central India, where what are the impacts related to soil and groundwater that we can predict. So the project context is a mid-sized chemical plant dealing with solvents and acids was proposed, located near the agricultural fields and a residency colony. So they are the sensitive receptors. And the baseline study, as we discussed, soil slightly acidic, low organic content, groundwater within the permissible limits, and shallow aquifer. So the predicted impacts. So with this chemical plan, what would be the predicted impacts? There is a risk of acidic and heavy metal leachate into the groundwater, possible contamination spread beyond the project boundary in case of leakage. The accidental event observed during operation. So it is a typical study. In case if it happens, what would be like predicted like that? Accidental. So local groundwater bore well showed TDS and chromium spikes. So immediate response could be tank repaired and placed inside the secondary contaminant burnt and excavated contaminated soil, applied bioremediation using bacterial culture. What could be the long-term measures? Installed monitoring wells, monthly sampling and trend analysis submitted to Pollution Control Board, staff trained with emergency spill management. So, and the lessons learned is importance of predictive hydrogeology in EIA, proactive infrastructure, leak detection, contaminant, and prevents long-term damage. So, when the EIA for surface water is concerned, so why surface water is matters? So it includes rivers, lakes, wetlands, and reservoirs. It is vital for drinking water, irrigation, and aquatic ecosystems. And common impacts from these projects: if industrial effluents are there, that can raise COD and BOD values and heavy metal levels. If it is agricultural runoff, fertilizers and pesticides will leads to eutrophication. In case of construction, it increases turbidity and sediment load of the surface water. In thermal pollution from power plants affects dissolved oxygen and uh, aquatic life. So assessment parameters: physiochemical, pH, turbidity, conductivity of water, dissolved oxygen, biological oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demands, and nitrates present in the water. Biological um, assessment includes biotic indexes, plankton diversity, and bioassays. Use baseline data to compare post-project water quality. So the water quality before the project and after the project should be compared. In case of modeling tools, as we discussed for water, soil and water assessment tool and HEC RAS tool are used to model modeling tools for EIA. And the mitigation strategies include in case of industrial effluent treatment plants are required, retention ponds and silt traps are required, and riparian buffer zones like vegetative barriers filter pollutants before they enter the waterways. Regulatory framework in India, so the effluent discharge standard by CPCB and the environmental clearance may require ZLD for some sectors. So in the case study, like it is similar to our situation in Hyderabad, like urban township development in river adjacent site in like in South India. Suppose as we are seeing all the news about this Hydra, so which is similar to this a model case study where project background is like a development of urban township near the seasonal river. The initial perception is low water impact due to seasonal nature. So as we can correlate it with our Hyderabad condition, and the key concerns are identified are sediment laid runoff during monsoon could choke river banks, oil grease from construction vehicles at the risk of leaching, impervious surfaces increasing peak runoff, and flash floods. Assessment process: the base study during dry and wet seasons for parameters like BOD, turbidity, TSS, and the SWOT model predicted 60% increases in the sediment load in the peak monsoon. Consultations showed local fisher relied on rivers breeding zones downstream. So implemented mitigation: silt traps, permeable paving, buffer zones, and adjust construction scheduled to avoid monsoon excavations. Monitoring and review: post-construction water samples showed turbidity reduced by 40%. Community supports increased due to transparent reporting. So, uh, when we come to EIA air pollution, so airport in air why air quality is needs in EIA, it is directly affects the human health, visibility, crops and materials. In India, many cities exceeds national air quality standards. As we see the reports, um, in top 20 most polluted cities in the world, nearly 15 are from our country only. So in India, like many cities already exceeds the national air quality standards. So the pollutants to consider are the PM particulate matter 10 and particulate matter 2.5, NOx and SOx, volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide. The assessment process includes baseline monitoring at multiple locations using Central Pollution Control Board methods, measurements of units in microgram per meter cube, ppm, ppb, and use of wind roses and topographic data to understand dispersion, modeling tools like air mode to predict ground level concentrations at sensitive receptors, and the common high risk activities are construction and demolition, which releases dust and diesel exhaust. Hot mix plants and crushers will responsible for oxides of sulfurs and, and nitrogen. Vehicle movement inside large projects is a leads to localized pollution. And the mitigation strategies include water spraying on dusty surfaces, use of sheet covers for transporting loose materials, green belt development as physical barriers, mandating BS6 complement vehicles and pollution control equipment in plants. Regulatory framework includes the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. EIA notifications often requires air modeling results as part of clearance. So coming to the model case study, expansion of a cement plant. So the project context is cement plant proposed to double production of capacity, which is located near rural settlements and a school within 3 kilometers. The baseline findings, as we discussed, the particulate matter, NOx, and the local clinic reported rising asthma complaints with the existing cement factory. The assessment approach includes installed 8 air monitoring stations, collected 24-hour average values of particulate matter and NOx and SOx, used air mode to stimulate dispersion from stacks and fugitive sources under multiple wind scenarios, overlaid emissions with health sensitive zones like schools, clinics, and elderly homes. The key impact prediction is due to particular matter, uh, some part of the like southwest receptor point during peak operations. Downwind school predicted to experience moderate air quality deterioration on high wind days. The mitigation plans could include installed enclosed clinker conveyors to reduce the fugitive dust, baghouse filters added to all kilns, planted 3 rows of native trees along the plant boundary to reduce the wind carried dust, restricted truck movement during the school hours. Follow-up monitoring includes post mitigation air quality showed 15 to 20% reduction in PM. Health complaints declined in subsequent 2 years. EIA of noise environment. So noise also a type of noise also comes under like uh, noise pollution is also a type of pollution where noise pollution can the sources for noise pollution are the construction equipment, transportation systems, industrial operations. The assessment tools, type 1 and type 2 sound level meters, measurement of like equivalent level, uh, maximum level, and 90% and 10% level sound values of each site. So noise counter mapping with sound plan and CAD plan, like sound planning and analysis, and computer aided noise abatement, identification of sensitive receptors like schools, hospitals, and residents. The mitigation measures recommended are acoustic barriers and soundproofing structures, time scheduling and high noise operations, use of low noise equipment and silencers, public awareness, signage, and community feedback systems. The conceptual understanding, uh, noise is an environmental pollutant that cause health stress, sleep disturbances, and communication interference, especially near sensitive zones. Uh, the in when considering to the regulatory standards as CPCB noise limits, like for different areas, like residential areas should be 55 decibels and in the day and 45 decibels at night. Commercial areas 65 decibels in the day and 55 decibels in the night. In industrial areas 75 and 70. In the silence zones like a school and hospital, 10 in the 10-meter radius around schools and hospital should be 50 decibels and 40 decibels in the day and night respectively. So when we see some model project for noise environment, so that is the elevated highway construction in a semi-urban area. So the baseline noise levels are the sound, estimation of sound at daytime as well as nighttime. The assessment approach should increase like six type 1 level indicate level meters near the sensitive sites and continuous 7-day monitoring, noise counter modeling to predict construction phase impacts. The predicted impacts are nighttime noise exceeds within 150 meters of the site, high risk groups, elderly are the elderly, students and patients. Mitigation actions are 4-meter high noise barriers installed, restricted pile driving to 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., silencers on generators, mufflers on the heavy vehicles, community feedback boards and complaint hotline established. Outcome: the post mitigation 8 to 12 decibels average reduction in noise, 60% reduction in community complaints within 3 months, and a positive public feedback near the school and hospitals. So coming to the EIF biological environment, where the key elements are ecologically sensitive zones, assessment of impacts on flora, fauna, and habitats, and biodiversity baseline surveys and ecological indicators, conservation planning and habitat offset strategies, monitoring and restoration plans. Key biologicals are concerned like habitat fragmentation, loss due to land clearing, impact on migratory and endangered species, disruption of aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems, invasive species introduction. Assessment tools include biodiversity inventory, ecological surveys, GIS-based habitat mapping, IUCN Red List species identification, ecological sensitivity scoring and risk ranking. The mitigatory measures recommended are conservation of core habitat zones, creation of wildlife corridors and buffer areas, species relocation and translocation if unavoidable, restoration and compensatory afforestation, biodiversity management plan implementation. So the regulatory framework includes Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Forest Conservation Act 1980, Biodiversity Act 2002, EIA notification, and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change guidelines and on biodiversity assessments. The impact prediction includes assessing direct habitat loss, edge effects, noise, light interference, predict loss of biodiversity hotspots or disruption of ecological corridors, evaluate risks of species decline and displacement and extinction. So coming to a model study where a project was designed like construction of highway in the buffer zone near to the protected forest reserve. So the baseline findings are camera traps captured frequent activity of uh, like the animals like Indian pangolin and small cats. Natural wildlife corridors mapped using local knowledge and tracking. Rare and endemic plant species were identified along the alignment. Like assessment approach includes biodiversity surveys conducted in pre and post monsoon seasons, interviews with the forest officials and local communities, GIS used to identify high conservation value zones for rerouting. The mitigation plan includes road alignment was modified to reduce intrusion into core areas, two wildlife underpasses constructed, translocation coordinated with forest department, native vegetation restored in disturbed areas through assisted regeneration. The follow-up monitoring could be like wildlife resumed use of underpasses within 6 months, vegetation regeneration reported within 1 year, local communities participated in offset plantation and monitoring. So coming to EIA of socio-economic environment. So socio-economic EIA evaluates how a project affects the people's life, such as housing, income, culture, and access to resources. The goal is to mitigate harm and promote inclusive development by the socio-environment EIA. The regulatory framework, the right to fair compensation transparency in Land Acquisition Act 2013. Suppose if a project is being constructed and some people are rehabilitated, they have they are having right to uh, have the fair compensation and transparency according to this act. Next, EIA notification, EIA notification and international like best practices such as International Fund Corporation International Financial Corporation performance standards and World Bank standards. The baseline studies include assessment, assessing the income sources, employment, land ownership, education, and health status of the people those are affected. The map the social institutions and resource dependency. Identify socially vulnerable groups and informal settlers. The impact prediction. So, in with respect to socio-economic, the impacts prediction could be estimation of job losses, community fragmentation, pressure on the local services, anticipate the conflicts between the people, migration, and changes in the gender dynamics. Evaluate indirect effects like infiltration and social polarization. And like we can see um, with the due to different projects, some of the people like inflated to different places. This also comes under comes with the socio-economic impact prediction. Effective mitigation, ensure informed consent and full participation, design equitable compensation packages, integrate host communities in resettlement planning, long-term monitoring of livelihood restoration success. So, case study of this socio-economic environment, we can see like development of a multi-lane expressway from different like multiple villages. So, the expressway passed through multiple villages requiring land acquisition under uh, right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013. The majority of affected people were small farmers, shopkeepers, and daily wage workers. That is the context. The key concerns identified as like relocation of households, loss of agricultural livelihoods, and community unrest due to lack of initial consultation. So the assessment tools could include the socio-economic household surveys, focus on group discussions with affected people, land ownership and asset inventory mapping, grievance uh, redressal, and public hearing forums. The mitigation measures implemented could be job reservation for affected families in construction contracts, skill development centers for youth and displaced farmers, development of resettlement colonies with basic infrastructure, monthly cash allowances during the livelihood transition at the time of the project. So coming to the last EIA for the human health environment sector. So the key concerns from the health perspective are health affected by the exposure with the uh, air, water, and soil contaminants. There is an increased risk of respiratory, gastrointestinal, and skin diseases. And the vulnerable groups are children, elderly, and pregnant women, as well as the workers uh, who has the occupational health hazards. So assessment tools used are health risk assessment framework, exposure to pathway analysis such as inhalation, ingestion, uh, dermal contact, baseline health surveys and epidemiological data, environmental sampling of air, water, and soil near the project area. Preventive measures recommended are regular health monitoring and early warning systems, public health awareness campaigns, provision of personal protective equipment, PPE kits for the workers, and safe drinking water and sanitation access during the project phases. So in the case study, model case study, I have taken a project like expansion of a chemical manufacturing plant where the concerns are the workers' exposure to airborne solvents and heavy metals, high incidence of respiratory and skin-related complaints, lack of on-site emergency health response systems. And the assessment tools for this project could include occupational health risk assessment, air and surface sampling in work zones, worker health surveys and medical records review, personal exposure monitoring, time weight average for volatile organic compounds, dust, and metal fumes. And the mitigation measures implemented are distribution of appropriate PPE kits, routine health checkup for every 6 months, installation of localized ventilation and scrubbers, emergency medical response training for site staff. The follow-up monitoring includes respiratory and skin complaints by 60% within 1 year, and health audit scores improved subsequent inspections, worker satisfaction, and safety complaints significantly increased. So after the environmental impact assessment, and there is one more topic called like environmental audit, where environmental include it is a systematic and documented and periodic evaluation of an organization's environmental performance, compliance, and practice to improve the sustainability and reduce environmental risks. The type of audits are like compliance audit, performance audit, and management audit. The key steps in environmental auditing are planning, data collection, evaluation, and reporting. The purpose and relevance of environmental audit are to promote regulatory compliance, pollution prevention, and resource conservation. I identify the gaps and risks in current environmental practices, enhances transparency and accountability in industrial and infrastructure projects. The applicable sectors for environmental audit includes it is commonly used in industries like manufacturing, mining, power generation, and like pharmaceuticals and chemical processing. The regulatory reference for the environmental audit is Environmental Protection Act 1986, Rule 14, mandates submission of environmental statements by the industry. The guidelines from central and state pollution control boards for periodic environmental auditing. The benefits from the environmental audits is to avoid penalties through early detection and non-compliance, improve operational efficiency and reduce environmental liability, build stakeholder trust and support environmental certifications. So the environmental auditing process includes data collection, compliance assessment, report and corrective action plan, detailed audit workflow, audit audit out detailed workflow, and the audit output includes compliance status summary, risk matrix, action plan with responsible departments and deadlines, follow-up audit schedule. And the importance of this process is it ensures continuous environmental improvement, support certification, strengthens internal accountability and documentation systems, and prepares for third-party and regulatory inspections. So, as a case study for I have taken like environmental audit of a textile manufacturing plant at Gujarat. So, as we discussed, the key concerns identified are like
Dr.
non-compliance. Hello?
Dr. Rana.
Yeah, it is only two slides are left, sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
but please be precise.
yes. So, so I have taken a case study where the key concerns identified with non-compliance with the wastewater discharge. Then the assessment tools are like sampling, influent, effluent, and then review log books, and the corrective measurements implemented are upgrade ETP to handle peak loads, and automation of pH, TSS, flow monitoring, and the audit findings are like COD and TSS level discharge are consistently above the permissible limits. The impacts of compliance are risk of contaminating nearby water bodies, and mitigation outcome like within 3 months the effluent quality improved to meet the CB discharge norms. So yeah, the challenges. So as we discussed about the merits and the types of different EIAs, the challenges are comes under data gaps. So the uh, quality of data will influence the EAS, and the stakeholder conflicts. So there will be social, like different people are involved. There will be a chance of delaying and delaying EIA, and predictive uncertainties like limitations in modeling future impacts accurately, and challenges in integrating climate change variables into assessments. And the technical limitations could include inadequate use of advanced tools, and the institutional and procedural barriers of weak enforcement of EIA recommendations. And the way forward is strengthen data collection and valid framework, ensure meaningful and early stakeholder engagement. And the best practices in EIA includes community engagement, adaptive management, continuous monitoring, uh, and additional practices could promote like use of tools like GIS, remote sensing, life cycle assessment, and modeling softwares uh, will will be the best practices in doing EIA.
Okay.
So, so we are coming to the end of this thing, like the summary. In the recap, what we have learned is the reduced sorry, we introduced the purpose and importance of EIA and the process and stages of EIA, methodologies of EIA, and we have discussed sector-wise EIA with the case studies. And key takeaway from EIA is EIA is a crucial decision and support tool that helps to identify, predict, and mitigate the adverse environmental and social impacts. It promotes sustainable development and safeguard communities and protects the natural ecosystems. And the final remarks, like EIA is not just a compliance formality, but it's a strategic planning instrument. It emphasizes the need of early integration of EIA in project design, and it encourages the next generation of professionals to approach development with environmental responsibility and stakeholder inclusivity. And and last, I would like to thank uh, Dr. G. Pushpa Chakrapani Madam, Dean Faculty of Science, giving this opportunity. And I am lifetime thankful to Dr. Rajshekar Reddy sir, and I would like to thank Dr. Ashok. And I would like to give one line from my experience is: great things take time. Be patient and trust your journey. Thank you.
Good evening, Rana.
Yeah, good evening,
You
sir.
have, you have given a complete, I think I can say, the one class has given the whole syllabus which they are going to read under the paper EIA. And really,
Yeah,
I'm very thankful. And whoever interested, we can give the soft copy to you because he has
yeah,
classified to the maximum extent he has done it. And it will be very suitable. At the same time, he has given a brief outline. You have to take the inner contents which he has given. Further, if you want, you take it. It's not only a class complete paper, but whatever, wherever you feel interest, you can do. This is not as simple as what you thought while hearing. It definitely involves some professional input. So I
yeah,
request you all to concentrate and see that soft copy.
yeah,
Soft copy will be supplied to you by prepared by Dr. Rana. And
yeah,
definitely, I think that will be helpful to you as far that syllabus of that under EIA is concerned. You can make sure this will help you to give at least the skeleton for your examination in case if you can, because Rana is also my student. That means I always go in detail. So he's still following same me. When I ask for a guest lecture also, he's going ahead with the same pattern. So it's nothing wrong. But only thing is, I can say is, it is the whole picture of EIA. The questions will come from this only in the different headings. You please look into that. And on the behalf of our Open University and PG students, second year outgoing batch, I thank Rana once again for
yeah.
giving an extensive lecture. And,
Thank you, sir.
and definitely this will help them. And I also thank my colleague, Dr. Ashok. And now I request Dr. Kumar, Assistant Professor of Botany, to propose the formal vote of thanks. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Good evening to all. On behalf of the Department of Environmental Science, it gives me immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks for today's webinar on environmental impact assessment, concept methods, and applications. First and foremost, I extend our deepest gratitude to our eminent speaker, Dr. Rana Pratap sir, senior scientist, for sharing his expertise and practical insight into EIA. Sir, your detailed explanation immensely valuable to all participants. And our sincere thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ganta Chakrapani sir, and respected Registrar, Dr. L. Vijaya Krishna Reddy sir, and respected Academic Director, Professor Pushpa Chakrapani madam, for their continuous support in encouraging academic excellence and environmentally responsible learning initiatives. And also grateful to our all respected directors, deans, and faculty members of their participation and guidance. And heartfelt appreciation to the respected senior professor, Rajshekar Reddy sir. Sir, your dedication and seamless coordination made this event a very grand success. And also thankful to Dr. Ashok to organizing this webinar. And we also acknowledge the valuable support our non-teaching staff and technical team who ensured the smooth execution of the webinar on the digital platform. And also, finally, big thank to all students who participated offline and online, engaged with interest and contributed to this vibrant success this webinar. Thank you all.